We are here talking about Iowa Hawkeye basketball. I'm joined by Hawkeye legend Kachine Alexander for the second straight day. You better get used to this, Kachine. This team is poised to make a run through March Madness. Another 95-point scoring output for the Iowa women, and a lot to get to, and another dominating win against a team that came in red hot with a win against Indiana. Hawkeyes will face Nebraska tomorrow. We've got lots to get to. I'm going to throw up the numbers in just a second. But first, before we get to the official stats, Kachine, heading into the Big Ten Championship game tomorrow, we know Hannah Stuelke went out late in this game with an injury. Looked like she was in positive spirits. Didn't look like she was in a lot of pain. She was interviewed by Big Ten Network after the game. Your overall thoughts heading into a game against Nebraska?
Definitely a get-back game. So I think let's get it together, internet. Okay. So I feel really good about it. I think it's a get-back game. I think the girls are going to be pumped and ready to go for that. I don't feel anything with Hannah. I think she was okay. She was able to walk off with her own power, wasn't really limping. So I feel good about that. And thank you, Lisa Bluter, for sitting our starters for 5 minutes. Yes, love that. Also, I'm pretty sure she did that because it is a very quick turnaround to an 11 a.m. start.
Yep.
And I know she was very aware of that. So she was trying to get them out as soon as she possibly can. She might have I think she sat Caitlin for like 7 minutes because she went out at the 7-minute mark. So either way, I'm happy with our turnout. Honestly, I don't even know how we got to 95 points. I was sitting there like, I didn't feel like we were draining threes left and right. Clearly, we hit enough. But then I look up and I'm like, wow, we're up 30. It was a quiet 30, but we was up 30. So I felt really good about that. I think the second half, we started to guard the three a lot better. Transition and in the half court. I will say I did not think we were going to be able to play zone against them. However, our zone started moving a little bit better in the second quarter. We started making a little bit of adjustments. I don't know if that was coaching or player-wise on the court, but we started making adjustments and we were able to cover their shooters a little bit better. So overall, great game, good game into the championship. So I'm kind of happy it's Nebraska. One more get back.
And this is a Michigan team that shot 11 of 23 from three. However, they started the game 6 of 6. And I made the statement in that first quarter, Cash, that there's no way they're going to be able to continue that pace.
No.
Not that they weren't making, I mean, they were hitting good looks, but it wasn't like they were, I mean, they were tough threes. They were hitting a lot of difficult threes. And it just felt like, okay, that's not going to last. They weren't scoring the ball inside. Iowa was still even with them because of how frenetic Iowa was, I guess, at the beginning of the game offensively as well. Iowa's gotten off to really good offensive starts these last couple of games in this tournament. But you just feel like as long as Iowa doesn't dig itself a hole early, it's hard for them to lose. Now, we have seen them lose a couple of fourth quarter leads, one of which being against Nebraska. So I'm sure that will be reflected upon by this coaching staff heading into tomorrow's game. And I absolutely agree with you when you talk about Lisa Bluter's decision to set the starters late in the game, definitely because of the short turnaround, right?
For sure.
Now, I think it should have been done yesterday because this is all a matter of 3 games in 3 days, but we don't have to belabor that point more than we already have. It was good to see that reserve group get some extended run together. Didn't look very good. Okay.
No.
Like when they were on the court together. But again, some of those ladies, they're the future right now. And so get your star players off the court. And Kylie Feuerbach didn't play her best. In fact, she didn't score until late in garbage time. So it was good to get her some extra run. So again, a 27-point defeat or a win in spite of giving up 11 of 23 from three. That is just an incredible stat when you look at it. And I'm looking at turnover numbers. Iowa winning that battle. They turned the ball over 12 times to Michigan's 15. And once again, Kachine, I did not consult with you ahead of time on our RTI Threads player of the game. So I'm curious on who you think I selected.
I have no idea, Corey. You're all over the place. I honestly, I don't know. Who you got?
I got Sydney Falcher for the second straight game. Sydney Falcher, 12 points, 5 of 6 from the field, 8 assists, 7 rebounds. Now, could have definitely went with Hannah Stolke. She was an efficient 7 of 7 with 16 points. But you got to love the stat sheet stuffers. And Sydney Falcher not only got 8 assists tonight, for the second straight game, she ends up with close to 10 assists and 1 turnover.
Yeah.
Like, we got to realize how
crazy.
And I know she's not dribbling the ball up and down the court. Like, she's not the point guard, but she's so efficient with everything she does, whether it be her shots, her passing, or any movement she does. And I compare it to Caitlin Clark, who obviously nobody's taken away from Caitlin's numbers, but had 15 assists with 6 turnovers, and 15 assists is a lot without question. Mm-hmm. But again, man, this tournament has been Sydney Falcher's. And if the tournament ended today, if this were the championship game, who's the MVP of the tournament right now, Kachine? Is it Caitlin Clark or is it Sydney Falcher?
It's Caitlin.
Okay. So we're just going to give her the award no matter what, or what?
It's not that. I mean, she had 28 and 15, 24, 10 and 7. Yeah, I mean, in our minds, yes, we're thinking, oh my God, Sydney has done so well, this, that, and the third. But she had 18 yesterday, whatever it is. She's had 12 today. That doesn't outbeat 28 and 15. It doesn't in the grand scheme of things. For us, we know what she's doing and defensively and offensively, but she's no. Nope. Now, if she had 22, 8 and 7, that's a different situation now. We gotta race.
I mean, Sydney Falter was 2 assists and 3 rebounds away from a triple-double tonight. And
it's no. She's not getting MVP over 28 and 15. Corey, are you nuts?
Come on, you're looking at numbers here. And yesterday, by the way, Sydney Falter had 18, 9, and 5. Okay,
and 18, Caitlin had 24, 10, and 7 last game.
Yes, and Caitlin Clark also went 5 of 19. I know how much
she shot for her. I'm aware.
5 of 19 from the field. I mean, 5 of 19 from the field. I'm just saying, 5 of 19 from the field yesterday, 2 of 14 from 3. She made her living at the free throw line, made 12 free throws yesterday. I'm not taking away from Caitlin Clark. I'm just saying, I don't know. I don't know about
not
that.
MVP, y'all. Come on now. We going a little far. Now, again, is she the closest? Probably, yeah, 100%. But she's not overtaking Caitlin just off of.
I'm not saying 12, I'm just talking about these 2 games is all I'm saying. Because Caitlin got
but 12, 8 and 7. Caitlin had 28 and 15. Like today. She almost broke the Big Ten single game assist record almost. No, we're not going to. Now, if Caitlin had the same kind of game she had yesterday, or if she had like a 18 or let's say 20-point game, then I could possibly see the argument, but not with 28 and 15. That's no.
How about this? Sydney Falter, I'm not going to argue with you on today because, Caitlin was really good today. She was efficient. But Sydney Falter's assist to turnover ratio over these last 2 games, 13 assists in 2 games, 2 turnovers. That
good
is
for her. Would we be having the same conversation if Gabby had 2 turnovers and was stat stuffing some sheets? We would be talking about this. No. Like, yes, Sydney is playing amazing. I am not taking away from her, but MVP status? Yeah, y'all crazy.
What does that got to do with Gabby? Why are we bringing Gabby into the conversation?
I'm just saying technically speaking, like, yes, she's playing out of her mind.
See, Kachine's internet is breaking up at the perfect time because she's about to give us all some malarkey about how Sydney Falter does not deserve MVP of the tournament. We'll see tomorrow. I'm just curious, and we'll see what she does tomorrow. I'm just curious to see what she does.
Let's see what she does tomorrow. As of right now, no. And I love Sydney. She's like one of my favorites on the team. So,
and I'll tell you what, you talk about assist to turnover ratio, you talk about everything else, but Sydney Falter, how about her 3-point numbers? She is 5 of 7 from 3 in these last 2 games. Like,
I like that.
I mean, we can talk all we want about how Kate needs to make threes and Gabby needs to make threes, but man, if Sydney Falter is knocking down threes at this clip,
she is an X factor.
Absolutely. And they did not have this Sydney Falter last year. Let's just make that very clear. So, anyways, we'll get to more of your comments here in a bit, Kachine. We do have a caller on our Iowa Smokehouse call-in line. Thank you for calling Iowa Postgame with Kachine Alexander. Who's on the line?
Hi, this is Trent. How are you doing this evening?
Good, Trent. How are you?
Well, great. I didn't think I was going to be I just called in within a second I was online. That's incredible.
We got you. We got you first and foremost.
Kachine, how are you doing this evening?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. It's great talking with you.
You too.
I just want to talk about I think this team as a whole is just getting hot, and it's always about. It just seemed like earlier in the year it was Caitlin Clark, and it was it seemed like the team really leaned on her in the early games or whatever. And what I'm seeing now is just a balance of all the players that are in there, and Gabby getting hot, and everything just kind of molding and melding together at the right time. And it's just like, this team is dangerous. And I think, honestly, I think this team is better than what they were last year. They're just more balanced, in my opinion. I think that offensively they're great. Caitlin doesn't have to score 30 a night now. Now it's like dishing the ball out. Gabby's finding her shot, and it's just like it's just like they have a balance now. Now you have everyone just coming together as a group, and they're just finding a way to just dominate teams. And I think right now, man, they're scary.
I agree. They're coming on strong at the right time. We've talked about this before in the sense of how far we go depends on our supporting cast, because no matter what, Caitlin's still going to have to Caitlin. We're going to come up against some serious teams in the NCAA tournament. And so Caitlin's going to have to do her. However, she needs help. And the fact that help has arrived and it's continuing is a very good sign for us.
It's huge. I think it's key, because now, hell, if you have any team that comes up there and doubles Caitlin, well, fine, dump it off. Go in the center. Go to Gabby. There's so many players that can just kill you. And I don't think now. I will be honest. I have not watched South Carolina play, so I do not know. I don't have the knowledge of that team. But if what I've seen so far, if you look at all these other teams, I think Iowa right now is the most balanced team going into the tournament. Would you agree?
Yes and no. Only because, if we're looking at our team in just our team, yeah, we're balanced where people can be a threat. However, we are very small, and that is a big negative for us. So South Carolina is huge. The only reason why Tennessee is able to stay with them is because Tennessee has a 6'8" post player too. She don't do anything, mind you, but she's just there to create space and to rebound against South Carolina's 6'8" girl. So you take away that, Tennessee probably doesn't have much of a shot. Now they do have Rakia Jackson, which is a stud in itself, but it's a problem. So I like our chances. However, we are going to have a problem. We're not going to be blowing folks out. We're not going to be any of the sorts. In order for us to have a shot, we are where we need to be. That's what I will say.
So can Stokey guard those bigs in the middle?
She's 6'8", and a big 6'8". I'm talking like strong. She will back Hannah all the way into the basket. So we're going to have to front her. We're going to have to figure out some other schemes. There'll have to be some extra work that comes into that. Addison is going to have to be ready to go. She played well today, which is fantastic. But I'm just afraid that Hannah is going to get in foul trouble because of them throwing it inside. And we can't run if Hannah's in foul trouble. So it takes that whole purpose of running the bigs is out the window because they're going to put Hannah on the bench. So then we put Addison O'Grady in, and now we slow again. So we're going to have to shoot the lights out. That is 100%. We're going to have to shoot the lights out because we're not going to get in the paint.
Well, Gabby's getting hot, and we're starting to get hot in the perimeter. I don't want to rely on that.
Well,
totally.
You kind of have to.
I don't want to get
only because
court shots up.
If you think about it, right? If you think about it, you've got a big post player in there who's like number one in blocking shots. So you've got to pull her out somehow. The only way to pull her out is to set a ball screen. Because if you're setting a ball screen, she's got to come out on Caitlin. She ain't have a choice. Now that leaves the paint open. It's the only way you're going to get her out of there. So our ball screen offense has to be real heavy. Make her move. If you sit her in the paint, we're in trouble. Now we have to rely on our three-point shot.
Yeah, and I hate doing that.
I
mean,
agree.
it's been great. I mean, I don't want to do that. You know me. You don't know me, but I'm an old school guy. I'm 55 years old, so back when I played, there was no 3-point line. It wasn't even existent back in those days. So we relied on the posts and down below. But I think Stolke is just, but she has a problem getting in foul trouble. I know that. But I mean, I'm like, she's developed too, and she's getting better. It just seems like to me, they're just getting hot at the right time. And
Agreed.
Granted, and that's the time you want to do it. And yeah, they're going to make a run. I really do. I really honestly believe that. I have fell in love with this team. I remember Megan Jefferson and back when Vivian Stringer was coaching them, and I watched Iowa women's basketball a lot. I'm a Hawkeye from the heart, but this team just seems to just gel, and to me, it's just a different vibe. I don't know where to put a finger on it, but it's just like they just know what to do, and they just figure it out. Bluter, I know last night, you guys were talking about putting Caitlin Clark in there up by 30. Well, they didn't do it tonight.
Well, they play at 11 a.m. tomorrow. They play in
they ain't got no choice.
9 hours.
They play in like
why are we playing so damn early?
Because the new TV deal with the Big Ten Network, the Big Ten Championship is no longer on ESPN, and CBS has other games. That's how CBS TV rules. This is a perfect example of it. TV runs it, and CBS has rights to the championship game.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Corey, let me ask you this question too. How are you feeling about this team? Do you kind of agree with where I'm coming from on this? With them just kind of
Yeah, I do. I think a little bit of a caveat, and I'll defer back to Kachine on this, because I think what she said about post play is very much fair. They have played two teams in this tournament that have not been able to do anything to exploit Iowa's lack of size. So now we'll see, because here's the deal. They got a gal at Nebraska named Markowski who is really tough on the glass, who can score inside. I think is going to cause Hannah Stolke some problems. Is Hannah going to be, what's that ankle going to be like after a few hours this evening? So there's some questions there. I think a test will be tomorrow. And if they can somehow dominate inside tomorrow, I like what I'm seeing right now from Addison O'Grady and AJ Ediger, excuse me.
Right.
Both of those posts are at least giving them solid minutes. And I hope we see AJ more heading into March Madness, because I do think, in spite of her being a little bit undersized, she can help spell some minutes. Because foul trouble has been a problem at times against the better bigs. And again, go back to the loss against Nebraska, really good big in Markowski. Go back to the loss against Kansas State. They have a really good big. Same thing with Ohio State. Same thing with Indiana. So that's been a trend in those losses.
Yeah. I did not see the Stolke injury. I saw a Band-Aid on her knee, so I did not. Did she roll an ankle? Is that what she did?
Yeah, she came down, rolled the ankle, but I don't even know that she had ice on it. Maybe she did. Kachine, did you see Hannah on the bench with ice? I did not.
I didn't see her.
Yeah, so maybe it's just a tweak. When I played basketball, I rolled ankles all the time. So if she came off it before it went down, maybe it's just a tweak, and then she can just kind of walk it off and it'll be okay. But ankles are ankles. I understand. But, and then do we know anything more about Molly Davis? Or what the injury was there?
Well, it was a patella injury. and they expect her to be back for the NCAA tournament. So the hope is that she can be back. Remember, they get a week off after tomorrow. Well, I should say an extra week off. They actually get like a week and a half off. Now they're going to have prep time, of course, in there, but they don't play. They won't play until the following Friday at the earliest.
Oh, that's good news. That's good news. I think with the men, if I'm understanding, back in the day, they'd play their tournament, and then it was right into the tournament, and they play a Thursday game. At least the men did.
Yeah,
it seemed like, because they were in the first round, and they never had a week off. So that's a good news. That's good news. Well, it was a pleasure talking with you both. I just wanted to chime in. I'm just proud of this team, and I just can't wait to see them in the future, what they're doing. And I know Caitlin's going to the WNBA, but I think, I think the future is bright for them. We got a lot of seniors on there and all that, but Lisa Bluter, she just always finds a way, and we'll compete next year too. I have no doubt.
Well, appreciate the call, sir, and we'll hope to talk to you tomorrow after a championship win.
Oh, I hope so. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, sir. All right. A lot of good comments here in the chat. Raheem talking about balanced scoring, and Iowa has had that this tournament. We've said that at least I have since November. The times where Caitlin Clark's jacking up 30 to 40 shots in a game. If I just look at that stat, my prediction is, hey, there's a good chance Iowa loses this game. Even though they've only lost 4 games, they have struggled when she is shooting that many shots. And whether it's the chicken or the egg, is it because she's struggling and so she just continues to jack up shots? Is it her teammates that are struggling and she feels the need to shoot more? But again, these last 2 games are great examples, and I thought that caller brought that up perfectly. The balance that you're getting from the supporting cast right now is invaluable. How about T-Hink? Sydney Afalter needs to be the tournament MVP. D. Barnes says Sydney is the MVP. See, there's never any gray area, Kachine, on the internet. It's either black, it's either white. There's no lines. That's it. Sydney is the MVP. I didn't say that. Let's see what happens tomorrow. If Sydney comes out and, hey, if Sydney goes 15, 10, and 10 tomorrow, and Caitlin does her normal 29 and 5, but again, Sydney's 15, 10, and 10, do you change your tune at all about Sydney Falter being the tournament MVP?
It's a conversation.
Okay. All right.
I'm not saying Sydney gonna have to have 25 for me to be like, yeah, that's it.
That's not who she is, though.
Well, that's why it'll be an MVP.
Okay.
Remember, I am understanding that Sydney is doing her part, but without Caitlin passing the ball to her and creating for her, half of those shots she's not getting. So, she is finishing it, which I am 100% yes, Lord. However, you still saw what happened when Caitlin was out, didn't we? She was still in. Nothing happened. There's a reason. Because Caitlin creates. They make it easy to be productive. You ain't got to do nothing. Half the time she was wide open because there's 3 people on Caitlin. Sorry. Just saying. Don't mean to burst anybody's bubble.
Aspire to Cycle says, what do you think tomorrow's stat of the game will be? Today was points in the paint. Yesterday was made free throws. And as it relates to points in the paint, Iowa dominating 54-16 over the Wolverines.
First of all, I don't think I would have ever thought that we would have scored that many points in the paint. So I'm very happy about that. I think that the key to winning is Nebraska shooting 25% from 3. That's the key. Or less than 30% at least.
Our friend South Bend Hawkeye, also known as Nicholas. Corey will never pick Gabby. Well, actually, I think Gabby, wasn't she our RTI Threads player of the game like 2 games ago?
Maybe? Yeah, 2 games ago.
Maybe our buddy over in Indiana's suffering from some
I
short
mean,
term.
she only scored 6 points. She was 2 for 4. What do you want from us at this point?
Yeah, I mean, she's 6 points. What do you want us to do? Gabby's line today was 6 points, 3 assists, 1 rebound. Now, to defend her, to you, Kachine, she was doing what she was asked to do, right? She only takes 4 shots on the night. That's what she's going to give you. There are going to be some nights where she's not doing a ton on offense to create open shots, right?
No.
Like, if we talk about Sydney Falter not doing a ton, like Gabby's doing even less on offense to create points. And that's okay because she's playing her role. And like you said, there are going to be times where you get open. Your job is to stand there, catch the ball in rhythm, shoot, and make shots. And that's sometimes not easy. Oftentimes it's not easy to do. And Gabby's doing it right now. Sydney Falter's doing it. Kylie Fierbach struggled a little bit tonight, but only took 2 threes, was 1 of 2. So she really just didn't shoot very much. So anyways, Amanda says the debate was great, but you are right, of course. So there's no, again, there's a firm line in the sand. You are right, I am wrong, or the opposite. So let's go back to our Iowa Smokehouse call-in line. Thank you for calling Iowa Postgame with Kachine Alexander. Who's on the line?
Hi, my name is Mike.
Hi, Mike.
How are you?
Good. How are you, sir?
Very good. First time caller. Big fan of both of you guys. Very knowledgeable conversation. I'm a older Philly baller transplanted to Denver and became a Caitlin Clark fan like all of us about 3 years ago. But a couple things that I don't have anyone to talk. None of my guys from Philadelphia want to talk women's basketball. I seem to be the only one in my circle that follows women's basketball. But one of the things I wanted to talk about was, I agree with you. I don't think Sydney Falter deserves to be MVP, but I get it. She should be on the all-tournament team. Great player. The problem that I have, she should have been starting, I believe, all year.
Well, yep, I'm anxious to get your opinion on that, Kachine. Do you?
It's a fair assessment. I mean, I don't know if I started all year. I think I might have moved to the Sydney train probably halfway, maybe this beginning of this year. I started that.
You know, my opinion of that is that what she brings to that team is she's very athletic. You saw that on that steal. I mean, I think she could outrun Caitlin Clark, to be honest with you. She brings like a roughhouse to that team that I didn't think they really had. You know, she goes after the ball like a football player.
I have a question.
She hits the three. She's not a bad shooter. She's a little rough going to the hoop with somebody on her, but I've been saying this all year long that I know I'm going to get some blowback, and I have listened to you guys, but I believe Gabby should have been sitting the bench a quarter of the way through the season. It's pretty hard to, and I get it with the defense. I've watched her. I think she's undersized. She doesn't penetrate with the ball.
Correct.
And, you know, I know I'm being kind of rough. I know there's a lot of Gabby fans. And I must say this. I am a huge Iowa fan. Huge Caitlin Clark fan. And I say this with love. But when I really look at, I think Lisa Luter is saying right now that she should have been playing a Falter a long time ago.
Well,
I think you could probably eliminate a couple losses.
The only thing I would say to that, Mike, and I'm not saying you're wrong. I tend to agree with you that I do think Gabby coming off the bench would not have been the end of the world. Now, Gabby's shooting the ball better right now. I still think Sydney's a better player.
I know.
I think Sydney's a much better player right now. But here's the deal. Okay, they play Sydney Falter halfway through the season instead of Gabby Marshall, or those minutes that Gabby was getting go to Sydney Falter. Okay, you say they eliminate half the losses. So maybe they win at Ohio State, they win at Nebraska, and they're almost guaranteed a 1 seed, or they are guaranteed a 1 seed, right? They may get a 1 seed anyways. So I guess my point is, like, they're all playing the way you want them to play right now. Let's hope you get Molly Davis back. Let's hope Hannah Stolke's ankle doesn't get real big this evening, and then that cause a problem tomorrow. But in general, I don't know that it will really matter. Now, you'd rather be the overall number one, I think, than the low number one, the fourth number one. But at the same time, as Kachine's brought up in the past, it's all about matchups in this tournament, right?
Right. Well, from the very beginning, I must tell you, I told everyone with the loss of Susano and the other forward, I forget her name offhand.
Warnock.
But yeah, Warnock. When I watched a lot of film, a lot of games that they had played, and I got a new respect for Susano, believe me. When I watched her films and I was thinking, what we lost, we will never get back. And we're going to take some losses, but I'm pleasantly surprised that I really didn't think Iowa was going to win this many games, to tell you the truth. I didn't think Caitlin could carry them on her back like she has. And I didn't think Kate Martin would step up like she has. I mean, she's having a blowout season, I believe. And, a lot of people are stepping up. And I just, I'm really surprised that I blew that, like I really did not think that they were going to be as good as they turned out to be right now, being a backseat driver right now. But it's one of those things where, everybody seems, Caitlin Clark with the assist, I still believe that she could have probably be averaging a lot more assists than she actually is. I mean, a lot of the passes that she makes could be converted, missing a lot of layouts, it seems. But the one thing that's going to hold us back is size. When I look at the South Carolinas and I look at LSU, I just cannot imagine Iowa being able to compete with them. It's going to be a chore.
Yeah, it will be a chore. They managed a year ago against South Carolina by basically just making them shoot threes, and South Carolina couldn't do it. Now we'll see if we'll see if that works this year. I don't know that you can bank on that working 2 years in a row, but
I agree. But yeah, I must say this: you two really do bring some insight into the game that I don't normally see anywhere else, and my respects. So,
thank you.
Mike. Appreciate the call this evening, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Take care.
Appreciate Mike calling in, and good stuff. Yeah, I mean, they're valid reason for optimism, but also still valid reason for concerns depending on matchups in the NCAA tournament. And we won't know until Selection Sunday what Iowa's path to another Final Four, potentially a national title, will be. I think the bottom line is they should be in consideration for a national title. And I'm not going to sit here and tell everybody I told you so, because I've been wrong a number of times during basketball season this year on the men's front and on the women's front. But here's what I did say 2 days ago. I said during my latest podcast that I released with Rashad Godfrey, Iowa football recruit, kind of relayed my predictions for the tournament. And I had Iowa winning this tournament, not because I thought Ohio State was going to get upset in their first game, not because I thought Indiana was going to get upset in their first game, but because I really do sincerely believe Iowa is the best team in this conference. Regardless of what happened in the regular season, I felt like Iowa blew that game against Ohio State. They were down Molly Davis. They blew the game at Nebraska, should have won that one. I just think in general, right now, they're playing better than anyone else. I think they're the best team in the conference. I think the most dangerous. They have the best player in the country, in the world right now. So I still think this team is poised to make a Final Four run, but it's all about matchups when you get to the NCAA tournament. All right. Appreciate Mike calling into our Iowa Smokehouse call-in line. And do want to remind everybody about our most recent announcement. We have got a new partnership to talk about. Level up your fandom with the new Autograph app, which is co-founded by the great Tom Brady himself, and so many big celebrities a part of this new initiative. This app is your one-stop shop for everything college sports, access to all the best sports content, exciting fan challenges, and exclusive rewards, crazy discounts on tickets, limited edition merch, and more. If you're ready to join the party, download the free Autograph app today and use the code FTHOTS from the Hawkeye of the Storm, FTHOTS, for exclusive access. There's a link to the App Store and to our sign up in the description. Again, it's the Autograph app, and find out how Autograph could be sending you and 7 friends to the Elite 8 game out in LA. Stay tuned. Again, courtesy of Autograph app here from the Hawkeye of the Storm. Let's go to our next caller. We have got Tony on hold. Tony, welcome to our Iowa Smokehouse call-in line.
Hello, how you guys doing? Ladies and guys, I'm sorry. Kachine, you are in Charlotte, right?
Yep.
Is Corey paying you extra? I thought it's like a religious holiday not to miss the Carolina Duke men's basketball game.
I have it on my phone.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure you were.
Let me just say this. Kachine, would you ever pick watching any men's basketball game over the Iowa one, ever?
No.
Okay.
I mean, unless we were playing some like terrible team, then yeah. But if it is a Big Ten tournament, no.
Fair enough.
Tony.
Oh no, you're fine. Is there a more pretty sound as a shooter than the ball just hitting nothing but net, not even the rim, nothing, just straight through? It sounds so pure every single time it happens, especially those 3-point shots.
Yeah.
Just a general comment. It is very interesting having you, Kachine, on versus the two coaches with the men's, basketball post game and the football post game. You do not speak coach speak. You just tell it like it is. There's no sugarcoating it, and it's a very interesting dynamic between the 3 post game shows. And it's just straight. This is it, and that's it.
Tony,
go ahead.
So let me ask you: have you ever accused Gary or Don of coach speak?
No, but I mean,
no,
I haven't. But
coach speak right now.
No,
you're accusing them of coach
speak. They have different. Okay,
they have a way of going about it. Yes.
It's a political way of answering a question.
Correct. And you take a very different approach that's more straightforward and
100%.
Yep. It doesn't matter if it hurts someone's feelings or not.
Yeah. And we've been.
I'm not talking about the callers. I'm talking about the players. Sorry.
We've also been very open about the situations, right? Like one of the things that makes Don Patterson so special is he coached with Kirk Ferentz. He was, really good friends with Kirk Ferentz. They were jogging buddies. He is so close to that program and to Kirk. Gary, his son Sam, just got done as part of the Iowa team as a manager here this past year. And of course, he was an assistant in Iowa. So different circumstances. Now, Kachine here, Kachine's former head coach is the current head coach.
Yeah.
So I they're all unique circumstances and circumstances that make all 3 great. But I agree with you.
Now, I'll tie into that by asking my next question is, in the Big Ten tournament, what was Lisa's schedule like for these short turnarounds? And you only have, we're playing the next day. This is what happens. Like, what?
Ice baths the night before, or I guess now. We would have dinner, and then we would have an early evening. In the morning, I believe, if I remember correctly, she allowed us to decide if we wanted shoot around or not, depending on how early that is, because usually it's 4 hours before the game. So if we're playing at 11, 4 hours before that is when shoot around is. 5 hours. Sorry, 5 hours before that is when shoot around is, and then you eat 4 hours before the game. So that's pretty early. And so my guess is they're not taking a shoot around, only because they just played 2 straight games in that gym. You should have a pretty good feel on it. And then we would come to the gym earlier than what we normally come to the gym for. So we could get up shots and do whatever a little bit more time, with that being said. So that's kind of how I remember her doing things, because there's better to get more sleep than wake up for a shoot around. The night tonight, they're going to have, I'm sure the managers already have it set up. There's a meeting room, and in the meeting room, there's tape on the floor that looks like a basketball like lane. And that's how they run through Nebraska's plays, run through how they're going to play it, that kind of stuff. They'll watch film tonight of Nebraska. They'll watch film tomorrow of Nebraska, and then they'll get ready for the game.
What was the beverage of choice?
Lemonade.
Okay. It was just put on Twitter that cherry juice is what she's using now. It cuts down with cramping. This was from Chast. Wow. Yeah, she says the players are drinking cherry juice to reduce inflammation.
Listen, I'm not. I'm sure that would have helped in some point.
I've heard of pickle juice, but cherry juice for cramps and interesting.
I don't know nothing about it.
Inflammation. Okay.
I would always have like chocolate milk after games, because that's always good for you. But I ain't never heard no cherry juice, but it must. Listen,
it's changed so much, just the science behind all of this, and since you played, and even in the last 5 to 10 years. Yeah. What is the tentative schedule tomorrow? Have you thought that far ahead, Corey?
Oh, yeah. I stayed up all night last night thinking about it, Tony. And I know you stayed. Listen, I know you stayed up all night last night thinking about it, Tony.
No, I thought about my daughter cutting teeth, but
Excuse me. So here, let's see. Tomorrow we've got the women play the big game, but big day for Iowa basketball. Huge day for Iowa basketball. You've got the Iowa women playing in the Big Ten Championship game tomorrow at 11 a.m. Central Time, CBS. Mm-hmm. You have the men playing a monster showdown, prime time against the Illini on Senior Day that could put them in.
What time is that?
Tournament. That's at 6 o'clock.
6.
Yeah, okay.
That is Central Time. So
we got time to celebrate and get our lives together before the men play. Beautiful. I like it.
Yep. So we'll have a post-game show as normal. I almost called you Gary. Tony, we'll have a post-game show as normal. And then we'll have post-game coverage for the men.
And I kind of missed a little bit. Did you guys see the end of that Tennessee-South Carolina game?
I sure did.
Have you seen worse defense played in a situation like that?
I mean, the girl has never hit a 3 in her entire college career. So, one, their minds was thinking she was going to go set a screen and then seal in the paint.
Okay.
Right? That would make logical sense for 1.3 or whatever it was. Instead, Dawn Staley called an audible mid-play and told her just to step back and shoot it.
Yeah.
Now, should she have released and came out to guard her as the ball was in the air? Yes. She probably was as shocked as everybody else that this girl just popped out to shoot a 3. I felt terrible for Tennessee. I'm not even going to lie to you. That one hurt my soul, and I have no ties to the game.
And you could just see it from the Tennessee's coach, too, when they panned the camera. Like, it was just, you could just see it on their face. Yeah.
God, that's terrible.
Well, hate to end it like that way, but we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Thank you, sir.
See ya. No, that was gut-wrenching. It was horrible.
I have not seen that, but I've seen people talking about it in the chat. So how do you defend Cardoso? What's the best way to approach that matchup if you're Iowa? Are you just doubling her every time and hoping that they miss shots?
Front her.
Yeah, but
and really just try to push her down on the block and make a lob pass is actually really difficult. The way it becomes easy is if that post player is able to drive you up the lane, because now there's more space for the lob to happen. But if we can sit down and keep her on the block and you not get drive up the lane, then it should be a much better situation. That's what I would do if I'm guarding a bigger player. Anytime I've guarded a bigger player, I would front and I would sit down low and make sure that she didn't drive me up, because that pass is hard to make. And then you've got your help side. You got to rely on your help side for that scenario. But they're going to have to play some zone 100%. And they're going to have to move, create some kind of situation for South Carolina. I'm not saying that they're not beatable. I'm just saying that it's going to be a battle. That's all I'm saying. Because anybody's beatable on any given day. So that's how I would try to play. Limit her touches. Just know, though, when you are fronting, it makes it that much harder to rebound.
And that's a category that, even though I was rebounded pretty well in this tournament, that has been even last year with some better size with Warnock and Sinano, they've struggled to rebound. And can I ask you a question without, this is certainly nothing personal against this player, but because I know she's been through a lot and that's been well documented. Let me ask you this, Kachine. Have you ever seen a situation where a player goes from being a starter the first 2 months of the season to not playing at all, but is in good standing and is healthy by the end of the year?
Not really. Not that far drop off.
But that's what we've seen with Sharon Goodman.
I know who you're talking about. I don't know what's going on.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it's her play. I think it's more of a mental situation, but that's nor here nor there.
Okay. Anne just reached out, looks like via email. I've got the call-in line, the text line, the email line all up on the screen.
Everybody.
And the call-in line is up on the television screen or the computer screen, whatever you're watching on, 515-635-1601. You can also call the StreamYard, or call via StreamYard. The link is in our chat. But thank you for the message, Anne. And if you hear the hold tone, that means you are on our Iowa Smokehouse call-in line, but you are on hold. Before we get to our next caller, do want to take a moment to thank Iowa Smokehouse and all of their products, getting you ready for March Madness and the fun that awaits, and Iowa baseball season, which is now underway. Use the code Hawkeyes over at iowasmokehouse.com for 15% off your total order, whether you're talking their beef sticks, their steak bites, their ketchups and barbecue sauces. Everything's delicious. It'll be sure to satisfy you and your family snacking needs. Visit Iowa Smokehouse today and see what you can get shipped right to your doorstep for 15% off with the code Hawkeyes, and you'll get free shipping if you spend $50, courtesy of our friends down at Iowa Smokehouse in Albia. One more time, that's www.iowasmokehouse.com. Also want to thank RTI Threads. You see I've got the RTI Threads shirt on, and they are promoting the new partnership they've got with Iowa Baseball and the Swarm. What a great group of people over at iowabaseballswarm.com. Check out the team apparel and support Iowa Baseball, the NIL cause, sponsors of this show. So many great causes to support. And again, RTI Threads has been a big part of our post-game coverage. Visit iowabaseballswarm.com and give the Iowa baseball team and RTI Threads your support. Let's go to our next Iowa Smokehouse caller. Thank you for calling Iowa Postgame with Kachine Alexander. Who's on the line?
Hey, this is Chris from Wyoming.
Hey, Chris.
I called to talk about cherry juice.
Oh.
It's tart cherry juice, and it does work. I inherited gout from my grandfather, and if you've never had gout, it's one of the most painful things you can ever go through, and I keep it at bay with a juice glass full of tart cherry juice every day. And if my grocery runs out of it, I'm in trouble. So wow. It really does work. So I just wanted to give my testimonial for tart cherry juice.
I got to go to Publix. I need some tart cherry juice because my knee hurt.
Yeah. So, it's an arthritis thing. It's an inflammation thing. So I don't know why it works. But, I just wanted to correct Tony that it's not cherry juice. It has to be tart because the sugar doesn't do you any good.
Tart cherry juice. I saw that today. Matter of fact, I'm gonna have
So-
to get me some of that because my knee is
My
swollen.
guess is that doesn't taste very good, Chris.
I mean,
Well, you get used to it, and there's always hold your nose when you drink it, and then it's
so
it's
but you also
over.
get used. Well, see, when you say used to it, that does not mean it tastes good.
No.
You can get used to something like cod liver oil, and that's never going to taste good either.
I have never gotten used to cod liver oil.
Okay.
You know,
well,
That
Like-
no, but tart cherry juice. I mean, there are different levels of tartness. So some of it is, but the brand I get is Knutson. It's $6 a bottle, and
I seen that.
it's cheaper than the medication they want to give you that has side effects. So there you go.
there you go.
Good.
Well, Chris, thank you
yeah.
for calling. Did you have anything else for Cash?
No, I just thought your comment about Sharon Goodman was interesting because my feeling about her is that she seems to have lost her heart for the game. I mean, that's kind of how I feel about it. But
No, that's a good.
at least
I don't know if that's the answer, or I know that she was honored during senior night and was very emotional, as most players are, right?
Yes.
Your last
Yes.
official home game. So I don't know. I think Addison O'Grady runs the floor better than Sharon Goodman, but I think she's always ran the floor better than Sharon Goodman.
Well, and Addison O'Grady's really come along too. I mean, she's a different player now than she was even a month ago. So,
well, she
so
honestly,
that's
here's
encouraging.
the thing with Addison O'Grady, and this is where we got to see some leveling off with Addison O'Grady next year. I thought she looked really good. And this is going to sound weird because I know it's an exhibition game, but I was there in person at the game at Kinnick against DePaul. I thought she looked really good that day, like really good, running the floor. And that DePaul team played like that was I know Iowa won that game easily, Kachine, but that's a Big East team. I don't know what DePaul's doing this year. They're probably not real good. But my point is, like, Iowa dominated and Addison O'Grady looked really good. And that's why I was so shocked to see Sharon Goodman starting heading into November and December. So I think Addison O'Grady's been a bit of a roller coaster. And I think maybe that's more of what we're seeing is just she has just went back to where she was and maybe then some. And we've not seen that from Sharon Goodman. And Sharon does have a lot of limitations. She's obviously loved by her teammates, and I'm sure she's a great leader. And she loves her teammates, but there's not a ton of minutes to go around for either of those players.
Yeah. And
AJ
well,
Edgar,
they put AJ.
AJ's played well too. She's gotten some minutes, and I think she's clearly surpassed Addison right now. Yeah.
I mean, she was put in before Sharon, so I kind of feel for Sharon because I liked watching her play, but it just when she gets in, she doesn't seem to. It's just she's just not doing anything. I just think she's lost her heart for the game. She's moved on in her head. That's how I feel about it. So
well, Chris, appreciate you calling in. We hope to talk to you after a win tomorrow.
Oh, we're gonna win. We've got to win, or my day will be ruined. So
we don't want that.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Go
Chris.
Hawks.
Appreciate it. Go Hawks. And again, just a big
I
day.
have a question for you.
You got a question? What's the question?
I do. What do you consider athleticism?
Great question.
Like, what makes somebody athletic?
Are you asking me this question based on a conversation I had on the air with someone a week ago?
I'm just asking this general question, Corey.
I had a conversation with somebody a week ago. Maybe you know about this, maybe you don't. But someone who is athletic, I think athleticism in general, athleticism does involve your ability to jump, your ability to run, your quickness, your speed, all those things, right? You go to you go to the NFL Combine, NBA Combine, a lot of those things are tested out. Strength, part of athleticism. Whereas I do think being an athlete, this was the debate I had with a good friend here last week. I think being a great athlete doesn't always mean you're the most athletic. Like Caitlin Clark is a better athlete right now than Hannah Stuelke. Hannah Stolke's more athletic. All right. Hannah Stolke is more athletic, quote unquote. So now I don't know where you're going with this, but we can certainly have a conversation about it. So where are you going with this?
So I was just it's a question that I always find fascinating because a lot of people, I think, have a misconception on what athleticism actually is. And so you remember how you said like black and white? It's not black and white in there, right? But there is a threshold, I think, of when you can start to say that somebody is athletic, right? Like you are athletic. And so on our team, who would you consider athletic?
Probably Hannah Stolke and maybe Kate Martin / Sydney Falter. I think there's levels of athleticism. Like I can't say that Caitlin Clark is not athletic, but like Jordan Bohannon, relatively speaking, was not athletic. Like he's playing a sport as a really good athlete, but he's not athletic, if that makes sense. So I mean, Hannah Stolke and
is Molly Davis athletic?
She's moderately athletic. I mean, she's the lack of size doesn't help. She has a lot to overcome based on maybe not being born with the natural athleticism. She's got good quickness, and that's, I think, something that she's taken advantage of with being undersized.
Okay. Which team is more athletic? South Carolina or Iowa?
Is that a joke?
No, I'm just asking.
I don't even want to answer that question. Let me just say this, Kachine. There are very few teams in the top 10 that are less athletic than Iowa. Maybe none. In the top 10, if you go to the AP poll right now and look at the top 10 teams, there are probably no teams that are less athletic than Iowa. Is that going to be a controversial statement to make?
Are you saying, I feel like that's your way of saying that Iowa is the least athletic of the top 10?
Yeah. Well, yes.
That's exactly what you're saying.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Listen, I am not saying that we are the worst. No, I do think we have some athleticism on our team, but we are not athletically gifted by any means, any sort. However, Lisa Bluter does a fantastic job of, I'm gonna use this word because I like it, weaponizing what she has.
Exactly.
And that is where I think a lot of people have the misconception, because they're seeing this great product on the floor. They're seeing all of these things. They're seeing us come up against, even South Carolina game last year. We were severely outmatched athleticism-wise. Doesn't mean you can't win the game. There's game plans involved. There's everything that happens with that. Shooting. There's a lot of things that happen. But the fact still remains, you're severely outmatched. So, what did they say? David and Goliath at that point? I think that's what they were talking about during that time. But it still isn't a testament to the type of basketball that Iowa plays. And that in itself, I think, gives the false perception to a lot of people of like, oh, well, no. We're not, but we are like the blue collar of great teams. We go to work every day. We put on our hard hat. We do the hard things, and we get things done. Of course, you have your star in Caitlin Clark, but Sydney Falter is a blue collar hard hat girl who goes to work, mixes it up in there, and does what she's supposed to do. She's always in the right spot. She is your blue collar girl who you could always, and Kate Martin. I'll give Kate that too. And Kate. Gabby. It's Gabby. So we're going to leave that where it's at. But I'm always curious, because I've had this conversation with a few people, and I'm always curious to see where people like to draw the athleticism line. of like, where does it go? Where do you draw it? There's a wide variety of athleticism. There's Fawali at South Carolina, which is probably the most athletic kid in women's basketball right now. About what she's doing and what she's capable of doing is insane. And then you've got the least of the least. There's a wide variety of.
Yeah, like a great example is, and I saw Lonnie's comment in the chat, but let's compare Cardoso to Monica Sonano. Who is the more productive college post? When those two careers are over, which career are we going to look at and say who is more productive individually?
Monica is she has better skills, but
yes, that's my point.
That's it. It's simple as that.
You can't for a second try to argue that Monica Sonano was somehow more athletic than Cardoso. Like, and here's the other thing about it. Like at Iowa, I'm talking about Iowa football, Iowa men's basketball, like in general, the major sports of late have not been like, they are lower tier of athleticism in comparison to the rest of the conference in each of those sports. I look at Iowa football. Kachine, you and I have had conversations. You were good friends with a lot of Iowa football players. You played at Iowa, middle of the Kirk Ferentz era, and a lot of success at Iowa during some of the time you were at Iowa. But in general, take the last 5 to 10 years, Iowa almost every year has been, I would say, bottom quarter of the Big Ten if you're just rating athleticism. And yet, they are one of the 3 to 4 most successful teams as it relates to wins versus losses in the conference over the same period of time. All right, athleticism does not equal success. Or is there a correlation there?
Doesn't mean that if you can run either. Like, just running doesn't make you athletic. Like,
right.
That's not right. Running is a fundamental thing. That doesn't make you athletic because you can run.
Why does Iowa football win games? Because they are fundamental, right? They don't make mistakes. They take care of the ball. It's not always the flashiest. I mean, I could think of go back to Iowa, Michigan, 2016 in Kinnick when Iowa upset Michigan. Who was a more athletic team? You're going to argue for a second that somehow that Iowa team that had some good players, George Kittle, Desmond King, etc., and they weren't more athletic than the number 2 team in the country, Michigan, that year, and yet they won in Kinnick. So, no, I think we're on the same page on that. Iowa is, and that's credit, like that's good coaching, right? That's that's the only perspective where I will buy into the notion that you could argue that people like Kirk Ferentz, what Kirk Ferentz has done here is more impressive than what Dabo Sweeney or one of these coaches that's at one of these blue blood programs has done, just from a developmental standpoint. Because Iowa's not getting, whether you're talking men's basketball, women's basketball, or football, they're not getting too many 4 to 5-star athletes. And the 5-star athletes they have gotten, aka Caitlin Clark, she's a 5-star athlete not because of her athleticism, because she's unbelievably talented. You see what I'm saying? Like, I think we're on the same page with this. So
yeah, I'm looking in the chat and I'm seeing a lot of people talking about running. Running is not that just makes you we're talking about a wide variety of athleticism. Running is the beginning part of it. There's so much more than that. Cody McMahon is more athletic times 2 than anybody we have on the team right now. And she's not outrunning us. But it's the simple fact of her athleticism, her side-to-side movements, what she's able to do with her body, jumping, moving, how she's able to twist in that's athleticism. Not going like this. Anybody can go like this. If you're able to run, anybody can go like this. Why do you think track stars can't come to the basketball court and play? They can beat us in a full court sprint.
Right.
But they can't do it with a basketball in their hand. They can't do it with everything else. That's why I'm saying athleticism is not just running. It's so much more than that. Now, do we have some athleticism? 100%. But we are not more athletic than an LSU. We are not more athletic than South Carolina. We are not more athletic than a lot of these teams. And it's okay. We are fundamentally sound and we need to bask in that. We are very, very good being fundamentally sound. But at the end of the day, we gotta call a spade, guys. Gotta call a spade. That's all I'm saying.
Let's go back to our Iowa Smokehouse call-in line. Thanks for calling Iowa Postgame with Kachine Alexander, who's on the line.
I'm Brian from Waterloo, Iowa.
Hey, Brian, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good. How are you, Corey and Cash?
We are doing
Good.
great.
How are you?
Hey, good. Well, I don't want to ask the same questions that people want to ask, but I have a couple of things for you guys. If I could say for the NCAA tournament, if we look at the NCAA tournament, is if I said that South Carolina and LSU got beat before the Final Four, how are the chances for you to see Iowa get to the Final Four and the NCAA tournament, championship, I should say, with them getting beat?
I mean, go ahead, Kachine.
Go ahead.
No, I mean, I personally, I think those two teams that you just brought up are probably specifically South Carolina, because I do think LSU, like South Carolina, has proven they are pretty darn fundamental. They've improved their three-point shooting this year, along with the size and the athleticism. LSU has been a little bit erratic, although they've had stretches where they've been really, really good and impressive. But I still think those are the two teams that Iowa matches up with the worst with. I think if Iowa's a 1 seed, then they're going to have a path to the Final Four due to the fact that they're a 1 seed. So yeah, I mean, I would say that I'd give them a good chance. I give them a good chance to get the Final Four, regardless of what happens to South Carolina, because they're not going to be in the same quadrant. Now, LSU is not going to be a 1 seed. If they get matched up against Iowa in the Elite Eight, I'll be nervous. Kachine?
I'm with you. I mean, of course, I would feel a little bit better. That's two great teams not in the running. So I would feel great about that. But I mean, at the end of the day, they're still Stanford. They're still probably USC. There's still some other teams that we would still have to bring our A game to beat. But of course, two great teams out of the running, feeling better.
Right. So there's another question I want to ask, and then one more for you, Kachine. But I just want to ask about the Caitlin post-college career. With her being #1 draft pick and team up with Aaliyah Boston, where would you rank their duel of teaming up, of playing along each other and doing what she's doing now with like Hannah and I can't think of the last person from last year for Iowa squad.
Monica.
Yeah. Do you think she'd be better what she's doing in college, or do you feel like that her game might fall off a little bit?
There's going to be an adjustment regardless. How quickly she makes that adjustment is completely up to her. Now, there is something that she is going to come up against that's a little bit different than she has dealt with before. These WNBA women have a point to prove. They may not say it, but I'm telling you that's what they're thinking. So there are going to be times where Caitlin Clark is going to have a struggle, because there are some very good defenders in the WNBA. Different from what she's seen, 100%. I'm sure Cloud, I don't know where she moved to. I don't know where she moved to, but I know she moved to a different team this year. But she is probably one of the best defenders I've seen in a long time. And she takes that to heart. When they were playing Sabrina Ionescu, she told them beforehand that she was going to shut that girl down, and she did just that. I'm not comparing the two, okay? I'm just saying there are going to be different people that she's going to come up against. Do I think Caitlin Clark is still going to be fantastic in the WNBA? 100%. But it is not going to be the same you see here. Teaming up with Aaliyah Boston, amazing. Aaliyah Boston is a threat on her own. So the fact that she is now going to have such an elite passer as a point guard is going to be amazing. Because again, Aaliyah Boston is better than any post player that Caitlin Clark has played with. So at the end of the day, if you put that in perspective, it should be a great duo.
Right. And I could see them breaking records too, like middle of their WNBA career. And then the last question, and then I will get off the air for other Hawkeye Nation. So if you could rank your top 5 all-time Iowa top 5 starting lineup with you and Caitlin at starting positions, and just name them right off the top of your list, if you can.
Definitely going Megan Gustafson. That 4 position's tough.
Yeah, I'm sorry to put you on the spot.
No, it's okay. That 4 position is tough. I'm probably gonna go Caitlin, me, Doyle. Dang, that 4 position is tough.
Oh, we're gonna have to come back to that because
Yeah, that 4 position is tough, man. You talking about in Iowa history, right?
Yes, I'm talking about like during the '93 team, your squad and today's squad.
Oh man, the top 5.
Top 5, if you could actually think about it. I mean, I know
the only position I'm struggling with is that 5 position. I mean, the 4 position, because
hold on a second. Does Bethany Doolittle doesn't even get a look? And Sam Logic doesn't get a look for the top 5.
Caitlin she's already there.
But you're gonna play like they're both gonna start on a top 5 team. They don't have to fit perfectly into each position, right? Like positionless.
So you're taking Sam Logic over Kathleen Doyle?
Yes, 100%.
No, I don't think so. I already have Caitlin. What do I need her for in my starting 5?
Okay.
I mean, I'm already rebounding. We don't need that. So, like, I need another big. That doesn't help me unless I'm playing the 4. I mean, that would be irritating, but I'll do it. If I'm being honest with you, I would struggle. I don't have a 4, so I would almost have to agree with Corey because I really don't have a 4. I would have to play the 4, and just muscle it up. Because I really can't. I can't get another 4. I can't get another 4.
Can you play 2 posts?
I mean, you could. Well, none of them shoot the 3. That would be tough. It's not bad though. It's not bad. It's not a bad option because if you were to do it, you would put Bethany Doolittle. Probably I would choose. So because you definitely can't play Monica and and Megan, so that's not an option. So maybe Bethany, because Bethany was good in the mid range. So I would, it would have to be between Sam Logic and me playing the 4, or Bethany's playing the 4 and I would be probably playing the 3, most likely. Yeah, that would be a tough one. We don't have any more dominant 4s, do we?
I'm just looking through.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Kelly Pry. Don't get me wrong, but that's a tough one.
You either got to go guard heavy or
you do. You got to go guard heavy, or you got to go 2 post players. You don't have another option in that option. But I would be curious. How would you play Caitlin and Sam?
I don't know.
That's a lot of ball dominant people.
Yeah. Well, Kathleen Doyle.
Was Mr. Hoff a 4? No, she was a shooter.
No. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. That's how we would have to do it. Either 2 post players, or we'd have to go small ball and do 4 guards.
Anything else, sir?
Who was Hannah?
Nope, there's nothing else, Corey and Cash, and thank you for your time.
Appreciate the call, sir. Thank you for calling in. I think they're talking about Hannah Stolke, but real quick before we get to that.
Oh, okay.
Before we get to that, Brian Long, appreciate the super chat. Brian, just enjoy every minute no matter what happens. Go Hawks. Insane experience up here. By the way, the Cornhusker mascot is creepy. Okay. Cornhusker mascot is creepy. And Ringo, thank you for the super chat, Brian. Ringo, come on, Corey, don't be anti-Caitlin. Oh, I'm anti-Caitlin now. And Kyle says, Caitlin wins the Most Outstanding Player Award. With all due respect, Corey, you've lost your mind. Very interesting comments. Very lovely comments. And then Lonnie says, oh, Kachine, you must have too much tequila in that tea.
I'm assuming that's about Sydney.
I
don't drink tequila, though, but I do drink tea.
I don't know who Kachine is, though. Steeler Chick says, did Kachine ever watch that post game after the Wisconsin football game? I bet you did not. You did not.
I did.
There must be nothing going on down in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm serious.
No, listen. Well, first of all, I fast forwarded to the good part. I told you I was going to do that. I was not watching the whole thing. So I fast forwarded to the good part. And you're lying. That was hilarious. I don't know what I understand from your point of view, because that was an experience that you probably don't ever really want to talk about and or relive. But for the viewers, I would have been cracking up like tears.
Could you see the frustration on my face, Kachine?
Building from start to finish. Building, which I think probably made it even funnier because what were you going to do?
RTI Threads player of the game tonight, folks. Sydney Falter, 12 points, 5 of 6 from the field, 8 assists, 7 rebounds. Right now, she's my MVP of the tournament. I don't care what people say. Let's go back to our Iowa Smokehouse call-in line. Who's on the line?
This is John.
Hey, John, how are you?
Oh, shoot, what happened?
I got you, John.
Right here, John.
Okay. Just got dead silence. That's what I was. I'm trying to figure this phone out.
Oh, we got you.
Yeah, this is your favorite Buckeye, John.
Oh,
hi, John.
What's up, John?
Well,
actually, hold on a second. My favorite Buckeye is Mark Rogers, but I'll give you a close second.
Okay.
I don't have a favorite Buckeye.
I just called in about the game tonight, and I don't know how much you talked about because I was on my way to my favorite smoke shop to have a victory cigar. So,
okay.
Since the Buckeyes look pretty bad, but anyway, the Hawkeyes, they look good tonight. I just wonder if Caitlin was still not feeling right because she came out, didn't even try to shoot to start with, and then she shot. What was that?
She hasn't been shooting well, John, but at the same time, Kachine, I think part of that is how well her supporting cast is playing, right? Like she was just she had what, 5-6 assists in the first quarter?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think she's always done that through the year. When she gets a little off, she does more driving to the basket and doing assists. But she started both last games. She started doing that right away, and she doesn't look. She looks peppy running up and down the floor. But I was trying to compare some of her jumps, like the long distance ones. It does not look sometimes like she's getting up off the floor. Cash can tell you that if she's not getting the jump in there, that's why she keeps hitting the front of the rim. You know, he takes a couple inches and he comes up short.
She had a couple that literally rimmed in and out today, which is not.
Yeah, I thought she was closer today.
Yeah, I mean, like I told you, that's not an easy gym to shoot in from where she's shooting from.
Right. And when the coach, I can't think of her name now. The assistant, they're in the third, when she went in, sit down the third. Yeah, Jan. When Jan went up and said something to her in the third quarter, and they showed her close on TV, her eyes did not look right. She looked like someone, if I had a kid, I'd be wanting to know if they were sick or it's not feeling good. So if I'm just saying, that's my opinion, you know. but she seemed to perk up in the fourth quarter when she came out and hit those 2 3-pointers.
Mhm.
And, you know, but I think it's good for the team. It shows that the team is good, you know, with her just running it. And she doesn't have to shoot. She's got the rest of the team. And then if they're not shooting good, hopefully she's shooting good. And so, I mean, they all did pretty good tonight.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they're a
Starting,
better team
whole
when
starting.
they're a better team when she's not shooting as much. I mean, she's still going to take. I say not shooting, but she still took 11 threes tonight. But there's been nights where she's taken 15 to 20 threes. I mean, they are a better team when she's not launching that many threes, because that means other people are getting better looks.
Right. And well, I think it helped their defense too, because it got them the offense. They got to move around, get the ball and stuff from Caitlin. They got to, you know, get open. And I think it carries over to the defense that they're moving around better. I think that's why maybe they did better on the zone defense and even a man-to-man. They did real good on their defenses tonight because they were moving. And yeah, I agree with you. But as far as Caitlin shooting, but there's nights I know Caitlin came from the schooling, you know, when she was in high school, she had to carry the team. So maybe that gets in there once in a while.
Yeah.
But it does show that they got a chance. Now, if they get a number 1 seed, what other 3 teams won't they have to play for sure until the Final Four?
Right now, it's looking like South Carolina, Stanford, and probably USC. Is that 4th spot is a little up in the air.
Well, Stanford and South Carolina. I haven't really seen Stanford play. They got the 1 tall player or 2?
No, they got 2.
2?
Yep.
And South Carolina tightened up their ship from last year when we beat them, you know, when Iowa beat them.
Yep.
You know, they got
3-point shooters now.
They got their 3-point shooters there now, so you can't leave anyone go. They like to run up and down the court. They've kind of made their teams better, I think, this year than it was last year.
Yeah.
And, so if we get down to playing them, Iowa's going to have to play their best game.
Yep.
Absolutely. John?
And I don't know about, yeah.
No, I was just going to say, appreciate you calling in, sir, and being a Hawkeye and a Buckeye.
Yeah, Hawkeye and a Buckeye.
Yeah, well, those Buckeyes, they look like they were playing in their sleep.
Yeah. Sure. So. All right, sir. Thank you for the call. Appreciate you calling in.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
All right. Reminder to everybody, please subscribe if you've not done so. Christy in the chat says, Iowa fan watching from Arizona. Is it just me, or is Caitlin sticking her tongue out way more than normal? If we win, no big deal, but it's not the most attractive look. That's Christy's opinion. Thank you for the comment, Christy. Diego, who will be the captain next year? Sid or Hannah?
Probably both.
Wow.
There's more than 1 captain. There's usually like 2, possibly 3. So at least 2.
So this is going to be a random comment. I know we started over 300 people watching, but what are the best, like, do you have a nickname for everybody on this team? Do you have a good, solid nickname for everybody on this team? Because like I hear, well, like everybody gets a nickname now, right? Like Gus Johnson, Molly Davis is Molly D, and you know, I'm trying to think of what.
I call them by what their parents named them.
Oh well, excuse me. Excuse me.
I mean, Sid, maybe Hannah, Caitlin.
All right. Nope. We got to keep this thing serious.
Kate.
Nope. Let's keep this thing serious and on track, people.
No, it's not so much that, you know, with being a former coach, all of your scouting reports, so I don't really feed into the whole nickname thing from time to, I mean, it's either their last name or their first name. That's really it. But I get why people do it. It's cool. I had nicknames when I was playing, so
Yeah, you were
Cool.
sitting here, you'd be like, hey, I want everybody to call me Cash.
I mean, no, I said you can't. If you want to call me Kachine, go ahead. I don't let my mom call me Cash. She ain't named me that. She calls me Kachine. But you can call me Kachine or Cash. I don't care what you call me.
Lacey in the chat says AJ finishes a lot of Caitlin's passes, unlike some of the other bigs. Some truth to that. Hasn't had as much opportunity there. But Tyler says, besides a falter, which of the players coming back next year do you think has improved the most? O'Grady, McCabe, Ediger, Feuerbach. Who has lost value? Who has lost stock, Kachine?
O'Grady has gained. I don't think anybody has lost. I would say Ediger is probably the least out of those four.
Really?
McCabe has come on a little bit shooting wise. We know what she got to work on. It's very simple to get her on the court. Did y'all see that blow by the other day? Jesus Lord. But Feuerbach, she's up and down to me. Like she's been like this.
Yeah.
The whole season.
Frankly, Hannah hasn't been the epitome of consistent.
No, but
either.
I'm talking about those four that he named. Yeah, I guess.
David in the chat says Kate is the new Warnock, Sydney is the new Kate. Interesting perspective. And Hawkeye 2829 times 9 says, is Hannah going without the hair buns for the rest of the year? Great question. Fabulous question. You think that's a long-term decision there, Cash?
I mean, she just got her braids done, so that's at least a month. She keep getting them in. So if we're that's roughly close to the end of the year.
I don't know nothing about braids, so that you're gonna have to educate everybody. I know you do. Spencer says, Cash, fill me in, please. One area of concern is that I've seen in the game this season where we have missed a boatload of layups. We need to fix this going forward for tournament play. Have you noticed that? I think Iowa's done a better job of late finishing.
They have done a better job. I mean, you're not gonna make all of them, but I think we're better than we were. And
they get a lot. I mean, they had 54 points in the paint today, so they're getting a lot of opportunity because of Caitlin Clark.
Yep,
that's what it is. Laura says, anyone touched on what a hot mess the ticketing for this whole tournament up at the Big Ten tournament has been? Would happily pay more for tickets for a reserved seat. Upper level was packed last night. Some empty seats in the reserved area. I know some people that were at the arena and they said the same thing. It's a total mess. I don't know who ought to be ashamed of themselves, whether it's Axis or it's the Big Ten or if it's the Target Center. I have the feeling that it's not the Target Center, but I don't know that. But yeah, I've not had time to really cover this story, but it's certainly been an ongoing story. So unfortunately,
I mean, give them some grace because at the end of the day, they've never had a tournament in this scenario where it was going to be like this because it's a hard situation because you've got a team playing that's not Iowa, two teams playing that are not Iowa. But if they just let everybody in from the get-go, those teams are going to be in section just to watch their game. So it's a hard situation to figure out how to make that work when Iowa is going to fill up the whole bowl. Like, I wouldn't want to be them figuring that out.
Well, they should not have been selling general admission tickets to the lower. If they were going to, you can't, that's just false advertising is what that is. 100%. Lonnie says,
they should have done something like if you were an Iowa fan, you get the reserved lower bowl for your game. And then if you have a ticket, you can get general admission for the other games. But I don't know what they was doing.
Lonnie says, healthy, this team is deeper than last year. I would agree with that, I think. By the way, tell me you're not using nicknames, and you're the one who a week ago.
I thought it was clever.
That's what a nickname is. It's supposed to be clever.
I mean, March is in her name. Like,
okay. But when I say Sydney, it's not her a falter. Or if I say something like, fear the Bach when Kylie does something good, like those aren't clever. Those aren't clever enough.
First of all, I've never heard those two things come out of your mouth ever.
How about this one? Hannah, not Kim Mulkey, Stolke.
That's horrible. that might have been the worst. But I've never heard you say any of those other two.
Well, I don't know what to tell you, because maybe there needs to be more of a transparent feeling on this show, and we can just
a falter. What in the world?
Sydney, it's not her a falter. Or you could even say, Sydney, it's never her a falter.
Okay.
Let's go back to our Iowa Smokehouse column line. We got Ryan on hold. Ryan, welcome.
Hey, guys. How you guys doing?
Hi.
Great win again tonight, or this afternoon. Question for Corey.
Uh-oh.
If we had to go into tomorrow and the tournament, and it's without Sydney or Caitlin, you get one, the other doesn't play. Who are you going to say, sorry, you're not playing? We cannot go into this tournament without you. It's not her a falter, but I disagree. It can't be Sydney.
That was not the question.
Caitlin is the MVP.
No, that was not the question, Ryan. The question was, who is the MVP of the Big Ten tournament? That's what I.
And the answer is Caitlin.
Who I want moving forward.
But it doesn't matter. Hey, Corey,
it's your argument. Your argument has no
matter. It's her every single game. You really should think about making it the RTI Threads non-Caitlin Clark player of the game, because she is the player of the game every single game. She handles the ball 90% of the time, and I think sometimes it's just taken for granted that she'll put up mid-20s and double-digit assists. I mean, she didn't have a great shooting game against Penn State, obviously, but she was still the MVP of the game.
She had a horrid shooting night against Penn State, right?
Of course. And she was still the MVP of the game.
No, she wasn't. It was Sydney Falter.
It's just that when I think of MVP, I think of who is irreplaceable on the team. And now, as you know, I'm a huge Sydney fan.
Nah, I wouldn't have gave Caitlin the last game. Absolutely not. She shot horrific. She almost shot us out the game in one quarter.
But today, 15 assists, it's a no-brainer.
I may not agree with the whole today. It could have went either way, whatever. Because I thought that Caitlin had a good game. She was fine for me. I would have went with her. Last game, absolutely not. I don't care what her number said. It was horrific.
Oh, I agree with Sydney yesterday. You would give it to Sydney yesterday.
Oh, yes. 100%.
No, Ryan.
But it is really Caitlin game in and game out, right?
Today, it's not a no-brainer today, because Sydney Falter missed one shot, had one turnover, had 12 points, 8 assists, 7 rebounds. And you're right about Caitlin having 15 assists, but it's also fair to say that Caitlin had 6 turnovers and less rebounds. So I'm just saying, in general, it's not obvious.
Well, as far as Caitlin's turnovers go, a lot of them are her faults. A lot of them are. A lot of them aren't. It's always going to be more than what really. Sometimes she throws pinpoint passes and they just don't catch them. But yeah, when you have the ball 95% of the time and almost everything runs through you, those kind of things are going to happen. But basically, she is the MVP every single game. Basically.
First of all, let me just make this very clear. Doug brings up something. We've got to address this. So Doug's trying to take a shot at me by saying Corey thinks Gabby is terrible on defense.
Gabby's not terrible.
I've never said she's terrible. She's not a good defender. Okay.
I will say this, though. It is absolutely, as I'm sure you would agree, Corey, from my prior calls, it is absolutely no shock whatsoever that Sydney is making a name for herself on a bigger stage, being inserted into the starting lineup. I thought she was a top 3 or 4 player on our team all year long, and doesn't surprise me a bit. And if I'm Nebraska's coach, Amy, I'm sorry, her last name escapes me, That's the person I'm going to be making a big deal about in their post or pregame meetings to stop, because she doesn't statistically have the stats and necessarily the minutes. But boy, you give that girl the minutes, and I mean, she's really exactly what we need. And I would agree that I think she is kind of the glue, even though Kate is called the glue. I think she's the super glue.
Yeah, that's a
I'm not
fair.
gonna tell you what I would do to stop our team because I don't want nobody to steal it and stop us. So I'm gonna keep my mouth quiet.
I don't blame you.
For the record, Gabby is an average defender at best that gives max effort all the time. And so because of that, she's surrounded by a lot of average at best defenders on this team. Because of that, she's their best option to play against the best ball handler on the other side. But she is not a naturally gifted defender. She's not a great defender. But I've never said she's terrible. But she is not a good defender.
I think what you're also noticing, Corey, in Kachine, is some of the gals that aren't known as defenders per se are getting sneaky good at it. Case in point, Kylie Fierbach a week ago. I think she had 4 steals. They seem to know where to be at the right place at the right time, and they're sneaky good. I was watching Sydney playing defense against bigger girls, and she's learning things that a lot of the bigs don't learn already, and that is staying vertical and not making bad fouls. I'm very impressed. I think this team can go very far. Hopefully we just have great shooting and good enough rebounding.
Well, Ryan,
I love this argument about Gabby. I really do. I think it is so funny.
Anyways,
I'm sorry. It's like it is mind-boggling.
She's a great defender because she has 224 steals. No one's trying to rip Gabby. I'm just stating my very strong opinion on the subject. That's what I'm here to do. But
listen, I have already stated my statement in regards to Gabby. I think that Gabby is a good defender, and the only reason why she's a good defender is because she gives maximum effort. But her lateral movement is not good. She gets beat very often. So if we're talking about the overall, if Gabby was a great defender, she would be on the All Big Ten defensive team. She has not, never was even on the ballot.
And she will not be.
That. She's just not, and I get it, you guys. She's good for our team. We are not a good defensive team.
She's good for his own.
Yeah, like if we're saying that, then yeah, has Gabby in her career has had some good defensive, I'm gonna say great defensive games? Yes, I will give her that. But Gabby as an overall defender is not great. No, she gets beat all the time. All the time. Now, I don't know
who in your opinion is the best defender.
Too much effort. I haven't quite figured that out, and she's just not playing her angles correctly. But Gabby is not athletically gifted. Let's say that.
And that's not her fault. It's not her
fault. She's doing the best with what she has.
Absolutely. Agreed. 100%.
Who is our best defender, would you say?
Sydney Falter.
That's kind of what I thought too. It's just, I'm surprised she hasn't had more of a prominent role. When I mean prominent, I mean like Kate Martin type minutes up until an injury. It just really surprises me because she shoots, she defends, she rebounds, she's tough.
That's
she
a
can
good
score in the paint. She really, what weakness does she really have other than maybe necessary quickness, you know?
Keep that one up there. That one right there, that's it. Gabby can chase people around the perimeter like nobody's business. Why?
Yep.
Because she is giving maximum effort. But driving, she is a terrible defender when it comes to that. She is not very good with driving. And I agree, Sid is our best driving defender. She stays on her feet. She keeps them in front of her. It's a lot of people don't get past it. And that's what makes a good
lot
defender.
of a big part of effort, or excuse me, let me reverse that. A big part of ball denial defense is effort, right? And we see Gabby denying their best player of the ball at times, and she does a good job of it. Effort. But she's also going to get beat on back cuts at times. So that's just the reality of it. So it's some of these, it's amazing. She's been a great player for Iowa over the past
100%.
5 years, and her importance cannot be, overstated as we head into the NCAA tournament. No one's debating that.
Yeah.
Last question for both of you. Got a prediction for tomorrow?
They'll win.
How much? I say Iowa by 18. 90. I'll say 93-75.
I think Iowa wins by double digits. I'll leave it at that. I think they win by double figures.
Okay.
Kachine?
Well, I said we was going to get beat by Nebraska last time.
You did.
So I do not think we're going to lose this time because Iowa has a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. Caitlin loves this kind of game that is about to transpire tomorrow. I think it's going to be a close game.
Okay.
That's all I'm going to say.
Ryan, appreciate you calling as always.
Thank you, guys.
You got a different background today. That's okay.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you for being here, sir.
Thank you.
Our friend Ryan, a longtime caller. Appreciate him being here. And see, we've got, I believe, 2 more callers. We're going to try to hit real quickly here so we can get Kachine off to, well, we all got a short night because of this daylight savings junk. But anyways, let's go back to our Iowa Smokehouse call-in line. We've got James. James, welcome.
First off, I'm going to side with both here, right? Cash, I'm going to give you I do think Caitlin was it today, but I also understand from a coach's perspective that sometimes stats aren't always the player who wins you the game. What I mean by that is like last night, sometimes stats is not always like, just because you have good stats doesn't mean you win the game. Like, I'm not saying Caitlin had good stats last night, but if you look at it and you don't look at the shooting numbers, right, you say, oh, she had 24. Like, if you didn't watch the game and you just look at the shooting numbers, right, and you see, like, the sports center says she had 24, whatever, right, and you didn't actually watch the game, you'd be like, oh, she's the player of the game without knowing. You get what I'm saying? Like that. Like, that's what I mean. Stats don't always mean that you're the star of the game or you're the MVP of the game or you're the player of the game just because you have the best numbers.
Yep.
I agree.
That was my point, but I do agree today that I do think it was Caitlin, but I also understand his point of Sydney because she did keep it that way. But yeah, but first off, I was going to say, you were asking about DePaul earlier. They were not good at all.
You're horrible.
Well, I will beat them by 30.
Yeah, I'm just saying you asked about it, so I just had to for you. But
they were 14th in the Big East.
No, they were 4-14 in the Big East. They were second to last. Xavier didn't win a game in the Big East in the women's.
Not good.
Yeah,
that's not good.
Yeah, but it was a good win today, and it was good to see Caitlin shoot better at least for tomorrow. Because she definitely needs to be able to shoot better, and her efficiency was better. I think that's something that yesterday didn't scare you. And like you said, I don't think Hannah's injury was that bad. She looked fine.
Nah, I think she's fine.
Yeah, she was fine. I just hope it doesn't swell up. That's the only scary part about it. You never know with ankles if it's going to swell up overnight or
that is true.
Not. But we'll see how that goes. And I just wanted to get on. The reason that the game is at 11 tomorrow too is because when they came out the schedule, we just signed a schedule or a contract with the Big Ten. Like SEC just signed a contract with the Big Ten. All right, CBS did. My bad. CBS did, right? So they already had their schedule planned out for last year for this year, if that makes sense. Before they had the Big Ten. So like they already had the MVC conference championship game at 1. So the next available slot was 11.
And there is a big overlap. So next year, I'm assuming that the Big Ten game will be on CBS at 1.
Yeah.
Would be my guess.
They just didn't. They already had the schedule planned for this year.
Yeah.
Last year.
They've got the SEC for 1 more year.
Yeah. So they had to kind of slot it in.
Makes sense.
You're right about that.
In a weird way. So, but we'll see how it goes, and hopefully the layover doesn't kill us. I know it's tough. I remember a couple years ago, and when we were in the NIT, the men were, and they played Oregon. I think it was. They lost to Oregon in the finals, and they played back to back, and they kind of came out slow and lost that game because of that. I hope that doesn't happen today, especially with the short layoff. But we'll see what happens. And just happy to be there again. And no better team to beat there's no other team I'd rather beat in the championship game than Nebraska.
That's what I said. Last
Not,
one.
not just that they beat us, but just because of who they are as well as they beat us. But yeah.
The way they lost and what happened with Lisa Luter afterwards.
But it's also it's also who they are too. Like, they're Nebraska. Like, that's probably the team in the Big Ten that I hate the most.
Man, I forgot about that.
But we'll see what happens. What was your thoughts on Nebraska? Did you watch any of that game, Corey?
I did not.
I mean,
I don't know if you did. I didn't watch any of it. I just didn't know if you watched any of it and you had any.
I'll definitely watch the condensed version tonight before tomorrow.
We'll see you tomorrow, and hopefully we get 2 big wins. Obviously, you need both of these. I mean, the women don't need as much for seeding wise, but you need it just for confidence. You want the confidence to go in to that, and then obviously the men, they need it together, even have a chance at the Big Ten at the March Madness. So,
yep, absolutely. Thank you, sir. Appreciate the call.
Enjoy your nights, and hopefully I talk to y'all later, and or talk to y'all tomorrow in a better, happy vibes tomorrow.
Thanks, James.
Absolutely.
Good stuff. All right. Final caller of the night as we finish off our recap of the Iowa Hawkeyes and their win over Michigan. Let's go back to our Iowa Smokehouse call-in line. Who's on the line?
Good evening, Corey and Coach Cash. This is Matt in Knoxville.
Matt.
I'll try to keep this brief because I know I want you and Coach Cash to have all the energy for tomorrow's big game. And just a shout out to you as well, Kachine. I appreciate everything you've been doing for the show. You bring great energy and insight.
Thank you.
Anyway, I just want to say, I just want to appreciate the women's team's composure today, especially after how Michigan came in and shot the ball really well to start the game. I think, what was it, 7-7 or 8 of 8 from 3? And I think we were down 25-17 at one point. And then I was thinking to myself, okay, how do we respond? And I was just really impressed. We ran great offense, fed the paint, got out wide open looks, and then I don't know. So that's why I'm really confident, like everybody else, going into tomorrow, because I just think mentally we are in a very good spot as a team, and especially after what happened to Molly. And maybe at the rallying point, I don't know, but overall, really proud of what we're doing. And shout out to Sydney. She's doing great. I've loved what she's done all year. And I think she's underrated. Nobody's giving her enough credit. And I also think it's really important Taylor's getting some experience as well, getting some confidence from behind the arc. I think that could be very key in the big tournament. But I appreciate you guys taking my call. Really fun question, real quick though.
Okay.
I'm sure you both have heard about the NCAA finally coming out, the football game coming up.
Yes.
So don't you think we're kind of getting robbed of an opportunity for like an NCAA men's and women's college basketball game? Boy, I think EA missed a big opportunity there, or just missed it. Don't you think?
That's a good question. Yeah, with the Caitlin era, definitely. I mean, the opportunity will be there. This is not a real strong draft class for men's college basketball. So, the opportunity is probably going to be there moving forward. But Caitlin Clark would be a great fixture to that game. I'm not like one of those followers that's like avid into when is it going to be released, what is it going to look like. Juju Watkins. I mean, there's some really talented young players that this game is going to be left with that is going to leave it in just fine shape. And thanks a lot to Caitlin Clark with that. There's still a lot of talent out there, but yeah, it'll happen. I'm sure. I'm guessing with the NIL world booming and the progress, like you said, with the football game, I'm sure it'll come around to basketball again.
All right. Well, anyway, again, I appreciate you guys taking the time. I'll go ahead and get off and let you guys get some big time rest. And also, on my last point, any Nebraska fans who thought that wanted to spy on our chat, get ready for a dogfight tomorrow. Go Hawks.
Thanks, Matt. Go Hawks. Appreciate the call.
Oh man, I love that.
Yeah. The last college basketball game I remember playing would have been like, what was it called? College basketball. Was it 2K7? I remember it had JJ Redick on the front cover.
Mm,
The graphics were terrible.
terrible. Mhm.
Graphics were
Better-
terrible.
way better now. Way better now. Way better. Way better.
Well, they don't have, but what were you talking about, like just graphics in general?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. In video games and all those things, they're way better now.
Yeah. I agree. So, anyways, yeah, compare it to some of the older NBA 2K games that, anyways, we don't have to divert into a video game conversation. Kachine, thank you for being here the last almost 2 hours. I did not intend for this to be another 2-hour show, but people love to talk to you, and for good reason. I want to thank RTI Threads once more. Check out their stuff, iowabaseballswarm.com. Support Iowa Baseball, support NIL. Check out iowabaseballswarm.com. Go Hawks and get your RTI Threads gear over at rtithreads.com. Again, tomorrow at noon Eastern time, it's the Hawkeyes and the Huskers battle for the Big Ten championship over on CBS. I'll be with Kachine after the game, talking to you, talking Hawkeye hoops, and then at 6 p.m. tomorrow on FS1, massive game for the Iowa men. They'll take on Illinois. The Hawkeyes are squarely on the bubble, so a huge day in Hawkeye land tomorrow. So be with us throughout the day here from the Hawkeye of the Storm. Kachine, thank you again, and get some rest. I know we're all going to lose an hour this evening, so we hope the team and you and everybody is bright and chipper in the morning.
Yes. Bring all that energy for the Hawkeyes that are going to be at the Target Center. Show them what that Hawkeye pride's all about.
All right, folks, for Kachine Alexander, the great Kachine Alexander, I'm Corey Brada from the Hawkeye of the Storm. We will talk to you on Championship Sunday.